silly terrestrial radio stations don't play it, then shame on them.
Really?
Yes,
I'll
some
say,
of them.
You must have accomplished your purpose because, for the benefit of our listeners especially, you and I have not talked about this album other than when we set the date up for you to do the show, for you to give me the tracks to play, suggest an order that you prefer them in. We have not talked about the album itself. So for me to come up with that visualization thought and you to say that that's exactly what you had intended shows that you succeeded.
Well, that's good. Finally, at my old age, getting good at this stuff.
Well, that's it.
If I live to be 200, I'm really going to be amazing.
There you go. I don't know if I could take another 100+ years, but I understand what you're saying. Tell me something, Grant. How did you? We got an idea how you came up with the idea to do a theme album for Appalachia, but how did you come up with this particular concept?
Well, I really, ever since I finished the last record, Dust Bowl, I knew I had to find the next topic, and I did. Right at the end, when I was just releasing Dust Bowl, I realized it's got to be about Appalachia because it's coming full circle for me. That's where my family's from. That's where my mother's from. One of the songs we're going to play is actually about my mother from Hazard, Kentucky, and I just felt like I have to do this closure, not only just for personal reasons, because then who else but me and my family cares. It's because it's a region of the country that's very important. It's very misunderstood. There's a lot of negative stereotypes about Appalachia, and also it's where the kind of music that I do comes from. It's the most natural kind of music for me to do, and I just felt like that had to be it. Now I'm at a loss. I don't know what my next record's going to be, but Appalachia for me was a slam dunk. It just had to be this record.
I have a feeling that something will strike you. And, when the iron is hot, you'll jump on it, and we'll get another classic. John Bon Jovi, I know you have a classic comment.
I do. I've got actually a thought for the next idea. Grant, I don't know about you, but I am a student of American history, particularly the 19th century and early 20th century American history. And when I lived out in a very rural part of California and Nevada, a buddy of mine and we would go up in the mountains out into the desert every week looking for abandoned mining camps, ghost towns, and things of that nature. And some of the things that you would find, and some of the family situations that you could try to envision, I always thought would make a great concept of some form of music. And I think of areas like Rhyolite, Nevada, Bodie, California, Keeler, California, and places like this. And there is a story to be told about the American West. And what got me thinking about it was following you on Facebook and seeing some of the pictures going down into the mine to shoot the video before the coal comes up. And I'm thinking, I was so envious that you were down in that mine because that's one of the things that I love to do. And it just brought me back to my out west days. And I think that something like that, I think could probably be, I'm not going to try to tell you how to formulate your thoughts, but to me, it would be such a great way to develop a concept.
To jump in on that idea, I flashed on this as you started talking it. And again, as John just said, don't want to tell you your business or what to do, but I'm thinking as a possibility, where I might think of going is going with a third album of Americana, conceivably about the West. You've done the Dust Bowl, you've done the Eastern, the Appalachian, going out west to the mines, et cetera, and making it part of an American trilogy. You would have a 3-album set of the same concept, only just different parts of America. Just my 2 cents worth there. So if it comes to pass, whatever you do, we know it's going to be good and enjoyable. And we look forward to your next album almost as much as we looked forward to this one. Tell us a little bit, if you would, please, about that red-haired girl from Hazard.
Yep. In fact, Hazard is in eastern Kentucky. It's a town in Perry County, and that's where most of my family has lived on my mother's side, going back into the very early 1800s. so many generations there. My mother, her mother, her mother, her mother, going back. And that's what this song's about. It really is her life story, an abridged version for a 4-minute song. But it's meant to, passed away a few years ago. It's meant to pay her some respect and my admiration and eternal love for her and just all the people of that region. It's a great place to hang out and experience what life is all about.
Well, I understand that, and my heart is with you on that. It's a road we've all been down, and we know what you're feeling. Let's listen now to The Red-Haired Girl from Hazard.
You were raised in the hills of East Kentucky, like your mama and her mama before her. In your best Sunday dress you felt so lucky. You were through and through a Perry County girl. You were loud as crickets after supper, talking miles, pouring smiles like lemonade. Harvest air, running barefoot with your brother. You would leave it all behind, but then you wish you'd stay. And you're still a red-haired girl from Hazard, even though you left so many years ago. Now some folks say leaving just don't matter. Then why does coming back be like coming home? You found love, but it would not last forever. You were young, precious buttercups in May. But in time, you made 3 kids together, and you raised them when your man was far away. And you're still the red-haired girl from Hazard, even though you left so many years ago. Now some folks say leaving just don't matter. And why does coming back feel like coming home? You got old and your eyes drew lines from laughing. With your daughter you spend your final year. Through it all the good and bad that happened, you showed us how to live right through the tears. And you're still a red-haired girl from Hazard, even though you left so
Red-Haired Girl from Hazard. Ladies and gentlemen, you're here on the David Bowers Awards with Grant Maloy Smith exposing his Appalachia American Stories album, which was just released June 25th. And we're going to play a couple of more cuts off from that. And we're talking with Grant, who has graciously offered up an hour of his time to sit and talk with us. Grant, I do have to say, I feel there is a lot of you and your heart and soul in the music in this album.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, this, like I said before, this has really been a labor of love for me since the middle of 2017 when I started working on it more than 3 years ago. And I probably wrote 40 songs for this record, and there's 12 on there. So I didn't put anything on there that wasn't, that didn't meet my requirements and was as good as it could possibly be. And when you do a record, you also want the songs to be different from each other and yet work as a cohesive whole. You don't want to have 8 songs that all sound the same, but you need to cover the different topics too. So it's sort of like a 3-dimensional crossword puzzle. It's a little bit hard to do, but when you get it done, it's a great feeling.
I know it has to be. And you mentioned your labor of love, and I know that you also have another labor of love, which many of the listeners might not be familiar with, and that is your love for indie artists and for doing for them. And I would like to digress from the album for just a little bit here and give you a chance to talk to us and tell us about the organization you have created to support indie musicians and their music. You call it the Indie Collaborative. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, we're a group. It's free to join us. We have about 2,000 members worldwide. It's at indiecollaborative.com, and it's just meant to be a place where indie artists can join together. They can form collaborations. Maybe you're a lyricist looking for a composer, or the other way around. You're a jar of peanut butter looking for some jelly. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Musicians need each other in different ways and combinations, and it's also just fun to get together socially and meet each other in person once in a while. And we also put on shows. We put on showcases where our members can get up and play a song, and then we do really produced shows where we really, we cast it ourselves and we produce a show, and it's for the public more so than for us internally. So any musician who's out there, if you're an indie musician, you don't have to have, won 12 Grammys or anything for that matter. You can go to our website, indiecollaborative.com, and you can join us. It's absolutely free to be a member, and you can have your profile on our website. So if you don't have a website, you can get a page dedicated to you on our website, and it's just a good. I'm not the only one. I'm the co-founder. The other co-founder is Eileen Sherman, and we're musical friends and partners, and we came up with the ideas kind of simultaneously, and so we did it starting back in 2015, and now we've grown from 2 members to 2,000 and something or other in that period of time.
And I'm proud to say that I am also a member of the Indie Collaborative, and it is everything that Grant says and more, I suspect, because I haven't had the opportunity to get as involved as I would like to have. But I know from my involvement, which is really surface involvement, that it is it's a tightly knit, cohesive group that is also wide open. I mean, it's not one of those things where, you've got to sit back and say, gee, I wonder if they'll approve of me. Hey, if you're an indie artist, you're into music, and you're doing your best to make it, trust me, you're home.
Yep, and also not just artists, but also people like you who are in the business, radio people, promoters, publicists, photographers, managers, PR people, anyone who's in the industry. We also have actors and actresses and dancers and that kind of stuff. You don't necessarily have to be a musician, but it's for entertainers and people in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, if you're interested in music at any level, really, especially from the indie standpoint, and outwards from there, whether it's in the acting capacity as well as the music-related channels, feel free. Go to indiecollaborative.com and check it out. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Now, Grant, you mentioned your shows. I know you've had a few. Do you